Okay, let's take a look to better understand what's happening inside this kind of complicated function we have here. Let's see, let's choose one specific cell to dive into. So let's choose the Midwest at the 75th percentile. I'll just throw a highlight there just to remind us what we're looking at here. So, let's see. In Excel, under the formula menu, you do have an evaluate formula option underneath the formula auditing. So just select the formula you want, go into evaluate formula, and this will allow you to step through each individual calculation that you're doing in your overall formula and see it basically shows your steps, it shows the work so that you can troubleshoot just with a little more clarity. So the very first thing it does is it will underline the first thing that it is going to evaluate in the formula, and this so happens to be the match function. So the very first thing it's doing is it's checking here. You can see in cell K16, it's pulling in this percentile. So if you do step in, that will take you through each of the individual steps. So if we do step in, you can see that it's saying that it should be pulling in 0.75 like it does there, which it does. So if you step back out, what you had underlined, that K16 cell reference is instead replaced by the actual value that was evaluated for that, which is 0.75. The next thing it's going to look at is it wants to look at what is the region in M14. So step in, you can see it pulls back Midwest, you can step right back out. And let's see, actually, when you stepped out, it evaluated that entire section of the formula. So here, let's slow down just so you can see what's going on there. So let's just start that back from the beginning. Okay, so K16, evaluate that. M14, this is where you're getting your Midwest in, and it is also going to pull in, because in the evaluation, what it's evaluating in this if function is whether the values here in column A, A15 to A49, if that matches the region value that's being pulled in here from cell M14. So when you step back out, it pulls in that entire array from column A. And you can see that every time that custom is listed, there's 7 of them, so 7 customs appear. Then you have 4 Midwest values, then you have 4 Pacific Northwest, and so on. It just grabs that entire array, and if you scroll down here at the very bottom, you can see that entire array is being evaluated to whether or not it equals Midwest. So when you evaluate that, you'll get a bunch of true and false values, mostly false values because most of the values in this array are not Midwest. So you'll have, you can see that there are 7 custom again, so you have 7 falses. Then you have your 4 true values, which are your Midwest, and then everything else is false. It evaluates to false in your array. And what that is going to do is the next step is it's going to, anytime that a true value is returned, it's going to pull in the cumulative percent of revenue that you have here in column E. And all of the falses, they're just going to stay false. They're not actually going to be going to contribute to the rest of the function. So if you evaluate, you can see that, yeah, you still have the 7 falses for the custom, and now you have 4 values that are actually the percentiles that appear in your Midwest. They show up as decimals, but it is the exact same percentages you have here. You start at 1, which is 100%, 77.9 Well, it rounds to 77.90, which is the percentage that you have there, and so on. So it only brings in the percentiles that match the region that you are interested in. Everything else evaluates to false, which is why this is such a very powerful approach. It disregards everything that you don't need for your calculation. So when you finally evaluate all of that, that lets you know where the match is. Basically with the index, this is saying that in column B here, it wants to return the 9th value. The reason why it's returning the 9th value is because that 9th value is the one that matches. It's the value that matches the greater than match that we have here. It's the very first value that is greater than that 75% if you're going from the bottom to the top. So that is the 9th item in this list, so that is why it evaluates to that. And then when you click that final evaluation, it brings you back that 2389. So that is how to use the built-in formula review you have here, your evaluate formula option. And the thing is, with all of that huge long array, I'm able to just scroll through it here because I just have a few dozen entries. If you're working with a data set that has hundreds or thousands of entries, it's not going to be as easy to scroll through and see what's going on, what's happening there. So what I would recommend for instances like that, that innermost array, try pulling it out and seeing what type of values you get back for that. So here, I'm just going to, right here in this highlighted cell, the intersection of Midwest and the 75th percentile, I am going to just select that, and then here from the formula bar, I'm just going to copy that entire amount. I'm copying it from the formula bar so none of the references change when I paste it down here. Let's see. And then what I want to do is I am going to get rid of everything except for this innermost if function that is being evaluated here. Okay. And you can see that array that showed up in the evaluate formula tool, these are all of those values that appear. So once again, if you're having difficulty because there's too much there, maybe just try copying portions of your formula to another section of your workbook to do that troubleshooting. Okay, we are all set here. Time to do the final bit of data manipulation before we create our visualization.